There's a moment, quiet, unremarkable, when you look at your hand. Skin, lines, the faint pulse beneath. Solid, unquestionable, real. But what if I told you that the act of looking is what makes it real? Not in the way you think, not metaphorically, not as poetry, but as a claim emerging from the most rigorous science humanity has ever produced. The double-slit experiment, a setup so simple a high school student could build it, revealed something that shattered 3 centuries of certainty. That reality, at its foundation, doesn't exist in a definite state until the moment you observe it. Richard Feynman said the double-slit experiment contains the heart of quantum mechanics. He claimed any other situation in quantum physics could be understood by saying, "Remember the 2-slit experiment? It's the same thing." So here's our question. Does your consciousness create reality? Or is that just quantum clickbait dressed in lab coats? The answer is more unsettling than either option. To understand why quantum mechanics is so disturbing, we need to start where our intuition feels safe. The classical world. Imagine firing marbles at a wall with 2 narrow slits. Some pass through slit 1, some through slit 2, creating 2 piles. Open both. You get exactly what you'd expect. 2 piles. Probabilities simply add no surprises. This is Newton's universe. Cause and effect, things that exist whether observed or not. Now replace marbles with waves, ripples spreading across water. They create an interference pattern. Crests amplify, troughs cancel. The result is zebra stripes on the screen, quiet proof that waves pass through both slits simultaneously, overlapping, interfering with itself. This is classical physics. Particles pile, waves interfere. The universe speaks 2 languages, and we know which is which. Until we send electrons through. Electrons are particles, tiny, discrete packets of matter. So when we fire them at 2 slits, we expect piles, 2 clusters, the logic of marbles. Instead, we get the zebra stripes, the interference pattern, the signature of waves. Even when you fire electrons one at a time, single solitary travelers with no companions to interfere with, they still, over thousands of arrivals, build the interference pattern. Each electron lands as a point, a click, a localized impact, particle-like, but the accumulation reveals wave-like behavior. Each electron acts as if it passed through both slits at once and interfered with itself, or so the mathematics suggests. The electron is emitted as a particle, detected as a particle. But in between, it exists as a wave of probability, describing where it might be, not where it is. Now, here's the part that broke physics. We add detectors at the slits, just to see which path the electron actually takes. We're not trying to change anything, just looking. The moment we observe, the interference pattern vanishes completely. The electrons now behave like marbles. 2 piles, no stripes, no mystery. The act of measurement doesn't just reveal which slit the electron used. It forces the electron to choose one. The wave of possibility collapses into a single, definite reality. Observation doesn't passively record. It participates. Werner Heisenberg, one of the architects of quantum mechanics, concluded, "The conception of objective reality has evaporated." He meant that quantum mechanics forced us to rethink what objective reality means at the subatomic scale. So what's actually happening? Why does observation change everything? The Copenhagen interpretation, still dominant in textbook, says measurement collapses superposition into one actuality. But what causes the collapse? This question has no agreed-upon answer. Eugene Wigner, a Nobel laureate in physics, proposed something radical. Consciousness causes the collapse. His specific argument, the collapse happens only when information enters conscious awareness. He treated the brain neurons themselves as quantum systems that would collapse when the information is consciously experienced. Few physicists accepted this reasoning, but many physicists find this unbearable. Many worlds' interpretation, the wave function never collapses. Every possibility happens simultaneously in parallel branches. In one branch, the electron goes through slit 1, in another slit 2. You experience one branch unaware of others. Here's where it gets stranger, or perhaps clarifying. 1,500 years before quantum mechanics, the Advaita Vedanta tradition of India described reality in eerily parallel terms. Not because ancient sages had particle accelerators or understood electron behavior, but because they investigated consciousness itself with systematic rigor, the same kind physicists would later apply to matter. Vedanta's claim, the differentiated universe you experience, objects, separations, the boundary between you and world, is Maya, not illusion in the sense of non-existent, illusion in the sense of misperception. Like mistaking a rope for a snake in dim light, what's real is Brahman, non-dual consciousness, pure awareness prior to subject and object, containing all potential information simultaneously. Reality is Brahman filtered through your mind. The mind collapses infinite possibilities into singular experience. It separates perceiver from perceived, introduces time, creates boundaries. In Vedantic terms, the mind collapses infinite probabilities according to its own image and likeness. In Vedanta, the individual self is not substantial. It's how consciousness thinks itself into existence. Beneath it, pure awareness. The witness and the witnessed are one. Quantum wave functions in Vedanta's Brahman describe strikingly similar structures. Infinite possibility becoming definite through distinction. Physics calls it measurement. Vedanta calls it Maya's projection. Whether this is deep parallel or coincidence remains open to interpretation. The Upanishads claimed consciousness is not in the universe. The universe is in consciousness. But let's be precise. Let's not drift into mystical hand-waving. Observation does not mean your consciousness bends reality or your thoughts manifest things. In quantum mechanics, observer is a technical term that means any physical interaction that extracts information from a system, a detector, a photon, even a stray air molecule. It has nothing to do with consciousness or human intention. The pattern vanishes because measurement perturbs the system. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle, you cannot measure one property without disturbing another. The observer effect is interaction, not intention. Most physicists don't think consciousness plays a causal role. In a 1999 survey of physicists, only 8% endorsed consciousness-based interpretations like Wigner's. The majority either adopt instrumentalism, shut up and calculate, the pragmatic approach, or prefer interpretations like many worlds, where consciousness plays no special role. Most physicists simply don't think consciousness is relevant to quantum mechanics. And yet, the hard problem remains unsolved. Why does measurement collapse superposition? What is the actual mechanism? Many worlds avoids the question by denying collapse happens. Copenhagen offers no mechanism, just the brute fact that it happens. The boundary between quantum and classical, between possibility and actuality, remains genuinely mysterious and unexplained. Physicist Bernard d'Espagnac, widely respected for his rigorous interpretations of quantum mechanics, stated, "The doctrine that the world is made up of objects whose existence is independent of human consciousness is in conflict with quantum mechanics and with facts established by experiment." Yet most physicists interpret this differently than Wigner did. So when we say consciousness creates reality, what can we mean honestly? Perhaps this: consciousness doesn't create the substance of reality, but it appears to create the form. The wave function is the ocean. Your awareness is the shoreline that gives it shape. The universe contains all stories. Consciousness is the act of reading one. Your hand. Every photon bouncing off it was, until observed, a cloud of probability. The atoms don't have definite positions until measured. The boundary between you and not you is not a wall. It's a convention your mind draws through continuous measurement. You are not a solid thing observing a solid world. You are a pattern of awareness navigating an ocean of potential, and the very act of navigating sculpts what appears. This doesn't mean you can levitate. It means the reality you experience is not out there waiting for you. It's a collaboration. The universe proposes, you dispose. If the boundary between self and world is participatory rather than absolute, then suffering, isolation, separation might be understood as the mind filtering infinite unity into fragmentation. What ancient sages and quantum physicists seem to converge on is this: the world appears deeper, stranger, more unified than our ordinary mental categories suggest. But this is invitation, not proof. So does consciousness create reality? Not in the way a carpenter builds a chair, but perhaps in the way a musician creates silence, by deciding where to stop the infinite and call it a note. The double-slit experiment doesn't prove mysticism, but it does erase the comfort of naive realism. It says, reality is not a stage you walk onto. It's a dance you're already inside, shaping and being shaped, until the line between the two dissolves into something older than either. New videos drop every Thursday and Sunday. If this exploration resonated with you, the full series continues in The Nature of Reality, Science, Physics, and the Cosmos playlist. The foundational books and research papers are in the description. The universe doesn't give final answers to these questions. It gives us deeper questions, and perhaps that's the point. Let's keep asking.